Shalom Alaikum family, how you doing? It's your boy J-Dub. Alright, so I'm back in the kitchen. The other day I made some lamb, and to go along with it I made some, I was trying to make garlic herb matzah, and I recorded it and everything, and when I tasted it I was like, something is missing. I forgot to put the garlic in, so you guys never saw that video, and so I was going to make it again, and I was like, well, you know what? That'll be good. I can show you guys. But today I was viewing YouTube and I came across a brother who made some what he called Manna matzah, and it looked so good. So I figured I'm gonna make that today, and if we have more time, then I'll show you guys a garlic herb matzah as well. So what's the advantage of making matzah? Most of you guys are used to this stuff here. You know what I mean? Now, this stuff is okay. You know, I take this to work. The wife takes one to work. I like this kind with like tuna fish and stuff like that. But when you make your own matzah, I like my matzah soft, especially when it's dinner time and I'm about to have some food with it. Like when we had our lamb, I wanted to have some. I didn't want the crackers with my lamb. You understand? So I'm gonna show you guys this one recipe, and hopefully you like it. All right. So let's get started. So before we get started, let me show you guys I'm using this brother's recipe exactly, and because this is the first time me making it, so I don't want to mess up first. I'll make it first and then I'll make my tweaks maybe afterwards. But his recipe called for coriander, and I was hoping that in my great wall of spices there would be some coriander, and I did have coriander, but it was in seed form. So you don't want to put this inside of anything. All right, so what I did was I took my mini food processor, grinded it up until I get the powder. All right, and then from the powder, that's what's going to go in our stuff. I just want to show you guys something and just throw that in there. All right, let's get started. All right, family, so what do we need? We're going to need 2 cups of flour, and you want either an all-purpose flour, whole wheat flour. You don't want a self-rising flour because this is unleavened, right? So the flour that I have and the flour that I use is unbleached white whole wheat flour. You're going to need 2 cups of that. You're going to need a 1/4 cup of sugar. So I have brown sugar. I might end up throwing this in my food processor as well, just to make it a little bit softer, almost like a powder. Maybe easier to throw in there. I don't know yet. We'll see how that works. I'm going to also need, there's my tablespoon of coriander. I'm going to be using kosher salt. If you're going to be using kosher salt, you can use more kosher salt than regular salt. Okay, if you're using a sea salt or a just a regular iodized salt, you may only want to use 1 teaspoon, but for kosher salt, it's not as salty. I'm going to be using 3 teaspoons of kosher salt. You want 1 egg. I don't have my egg out here. We're going to be using 2 tablespoons of honey. Now, this is that good stuff. It's locally grown. I get this from my farm, about a half an hour away from here. We're going to be using 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and his recipe called for 1/2 cup of water. When I'm making matzah, I will use 1/2 cup of water sometimes, but I'm going to start off with 1/4 cup. And if I need to add more, then I'll add it later, okay? So what I'm going to do is mix all the dry ingredients in here first, and then we're going to mix all the wet ingredients in here, all right? I'll be right back. Shalom. So you just want to stir all your wet liquids together, right? And then you're going to mix all of your dry stuff together. I told you guys, you gotta forgive me if my camera is moving. I'm doing all this one-handed. So, you know, I gotta make a lot of cuts. But once that's mixed together, I'm going to pour the wet into the dry. All right, and so I'll do that, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. All right, so we're getting it mixed together. Now, I always recommend when doing this, working with doughs and stuff, always have some extra flour and some extra water sitting on the side. Okay, so you see how this is sticking to my hands? I'm going to need some extra flour in here. So you always want to have a little bit of flour sitting on the side when you're working with this. The goal is you want to get this so that it's not sticking to your hand, but it's not too chalky as well. All right, so I'm going to mess around with this and get it to the right consistency. I'm going to add a little bit, sprinkle on a little bit at a time, just to get it to that right consistency. And when I get it right, we'll be back. All right, we got it to the right consistency. You guys also need to know when you're working with doughs and stuff like this, depending on where you live, the humidity and everything in your area could also affect how much water you use and how much flour you use. So that's why I always start off with a 1/4 cup of water and then just add a little bit at a time. All right, because then you'll end up having to fix it. So all we're doing now is just kneading it. What I'm doing is flipping it and pressing. All right, now of course it's kind of hard for me to do this with one hand, but you would normally be doing this one-handed, almost like you're making a pizza. And then as you get it out, you're just flipping it over and pressing, flipping it over and pressing down. All right, and then after about a few minutes of this, we're going to roll it out flat with our rolling pin. So, all right, Shalom. Right. So I rolled it out, I cut it in half, and then I rolled it out flat. Now you can roll this out into like a circle, like a pizza dough. You can, if you have like those cookie cutters and you cut out little circle shapes and do each one, you can do any of that, you know, go with it. What we're going to do now, when you're rolling it out, the thinner you make it, the crunchier it's going to be, like cracker like. Okay, so we like ours soft, so we're going to go about 1/8 thickness. Okay, so if you wanted it cracker like, you would roll it out as thin as you could, and then once you roll it out real thin, you poke a bunch of holes in it, and it'll come out cracker like the kind that you're used to seeing. All right, but what we're going to do is just put these on a cookie sheet. You can also use a pizza sheet if you have one. I'm going to do mine on the cookie sheet. We're going to put them in, and your oven should have been preheating at 450 degrees. All right, so we're going to put this bad boy in the oven, 450 degrees. Now, what I like to do is start off with 10 minutes. Once you start off with 10 minutes, then you move up from there as far as how long you're going to cook it, okay? 10 minutes to start with, and then if you need to, just add a few minutes at a time, and you know, you got to come check on this, because a lot of these recipes, it really depends on your oven, depends on how done you like it to be, you know. So we're going to start off with just 10 minutes and then see how that works, okay? So I'll show you guys the finished product. All right, here we go, our finished product. What I did was I just took it out and I smeared some butter on it while it was hot. And What I should have did was probably flip it in between. What the brother had was he had a nice pan that had holes in it. This one didn't, so I should have probably, and what you should probably do is, and I actually normally do this, I don't know why I didn't do this time. I set it for 10 minutes, but then after 5, I give it a flip. If you don't do that, the back of it may look kind of burnt. Okay, so if you have a regular cookie sheet, 5 minutes, flip, 5, and then after the next 5, you should be good. All right, and then that way you won't get a burnt bottom. But let me tell you something. This stuff right here. So you can see. You see how that bends? That's soft matzo right there. You know what I'm saying? Now I just cut off a piece, so this is my first time trying it. Let's see. Oh my goodness. It's nice and sweet. The bottom is a little crunchier than I wanted. But that right there, that's something to be working with right there. Oh man. Appreciate it, bruh. Hope you guys liked it. Peace out.